Hey Martin, how are you?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous. How are you doing there in Canada?
Very well. It's a little cold now. Uh, it's starting though. We are waiting for the snow soon, but well, that's how it is every winter. How it is where you are.
Well, we got to deal with 80-degree weather this week, so it's going to be rough.
Hmm.
So it's going to be nice. It's beautiful weather leading into this weekend's AAU Universe.
Yes, it's a big weekend, huh?
It will be a great one for us, yes.
Yes. That's why I wanted to talk to you. But before we talk about that, we discussed a few things that I find really interesting and people need to know about it. So before we get into that, can you please tell us a bit about you so people know more?
Yeah, I'm a retired technologist from a large aerospace firm, and I've been involved with various strength sports since 1962. Started out in weightlifting in 1962, did my first powerlifting meet in 1964, the year it was created, and did my first bodybuilding show in 1973. I'm the national chairman for AAU Strength Sports, which covers powerlifting, weightlifting, bodybuilding and fitness, feats of strength, strongman, moss wrestling, and combines.
Oh, nice, very nice. And for those who don't know what the AAU is, can you tell us a bit about the AAU?
Sure, it's the world's largest multi-sport athletic body. It was created in 1888, and it was the primary sports organization in the United States for all sports up until the National Sports Act. So prior to 1978, if you went to the Olympics in any sport, you qualified through the AAU. In 1978, they passed the National Sports Act that said that each sport that was an Olympic sport must have a separate national governing body or an NGB for the sport. And so you'll say track and field, you'll say boxing, you'll say basketball, you'll say wrestling, you'll say gymnastics, etc. were all created predominantly out of AAU membership. And so we went multi-sport and focused for most of that time on youth. And we've now got in excess of 1 million members within AAU.
Wow. So the members are from where mostly, like?
Well, it's predominantly a US-based organization. We don't sanction outside of the United States, and that's predominantly because of the insurance. We provide $10 million liability insurance and $100,000 accidental medical at every one of our events to all of our athletes. However, we do have many international athletes that come to the various sports, including strength sports, from outside of the United States, and they can get international athlete memberships and then have all that protection while they are at an event here within the United States.
Perfect. That opens the door also for those people as well.
Absolutely. So over the years that I've been running strength sports, we have had participation now from 87 different countries.
Nice, very good. And bodybuilders as well, right?
Bodybuilders as well. So last year at our university, and we're relatively new coming back, we were represented by France, Lebanon, Mexico. We've had athletes from Nigeria, just a whole host of nations that send anywhere from one to multiple athletes to our events. And this year is somewhat of an exception. We only have Australian athletes coming this year, but next year when things open up, we're expecting very large teams from Australia, New Zealand, Korea, France, Italy, amongst others.
Awesome. That's very promising. Can you tell us what is the difference between the AAU and other association in terms of rules and things that you look for in the competition? Let's talk a little bit about bodybuilders and How is it different as compared to, for example, a different association?
So would you like to frame that within the drug-free community, or compare it to as well to the untested community?
Let's define what's drug-free means.
Great. So this is one of my hot buttons, and I spend a lot of my time and a lot on social media educating people that there's a huge difference between what people call natural, what people call natty, and drug-free. In my opinion, natural is what somebody believes without the full arsenal of information is drug-free. So if they don't understand that certain supplements contain banned substances, whether labeled or not, and they're taking them, they believe that they're natural. If they are taking diuretics, even if it's over the counter, they think they are natural, and so that's their belief. Natty, to me, is an expression that's more of a slang expression that covers in a very quick way natural. And to me, it's even a more diluted definition. To me, the ultimate definition is to be drug-free. And drug-free is defined as you are not running counter to or taking items that are on the WADA banned list, whether it be the in-competition list, the out-of-competition list. WADA establishes a banned list. And if you're being tested for that list, then you're drug-free. The problem is most organizations do a basic sports panel, so they are testing for a small subset of that banned list. In AAU, with our third-party drug testing, we also do a full panel test, which will look for every item that is on the WADA banned list, whether it be steroids, diuretics, masking agencies, SARMs, all of those. And so it's a much more comprehensive test. And so if you pass that test in meat, you are at that point in time drug-free. Our drug testing also has a large component of out-of-meat drug testing, which can be done up to, well, at basically zero notice. So they can call you up and say, within X amount of time, 10 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, we're going to be drug testing you. So there is a maximum of a 12-hour notice out of meat. So if somebody is cycling banned substances, then they are potentially suspect of being caught.
Mm-hmm. That's what I wanted to know, because I'm sure there are many people who used before and maybe stopped. So then are they allowed to participate or not?
Well, so if your drug test is comprehensive enough, the reach back time is quite good, right? But not everything will be caught in a in-meat drug test.
We're talking how long?
You know, it varies from substance. It can be anywhere from months to 18 to 24 months. It can show up in a drug test, depending on the compound and the nature of the administration of it. So can some people fake it? The answer is yes. And so that's one of the components of in-meat drug testing, is it isn't the end-all be-all. It's part of the overall testing protocol. Our protocol is set up in such a way that when you sign an entry form, you're saying, I am willing to be drug tested up to 1 year after my card expires with a maximum of 12 hours notice. So if you compete this November, next April, you might get a call that says, hi, what time are you going to work tomorrow? Oh, we will meet you at your house at 7 in the morning. You're being drug tested. That eliminates, in my opinion, the people that are going to game the system by cycling on and off, because they don't know when that call is going to come.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Yeah. So with that being said, how this is different than other association? Like, what are the rules so people know? Let's say if I love bodybuilding and I want to compete, and I want to plan like to compete in a year or something. I need to know which competition I have to choose and the rules, you know. So how can someone know about that?
Well, I think they have to educate themselves,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody's marketing hype is going to say we're the best at testing. And that's many times nothing more than marketing hype. So I think it's important that you get on the WADA website and look at the banned substance list. Then understand that most supplements are not going to tell you the truth of what's in them. So you have to do a bit of an exhaustive research. Then you got to look at an organization and find out what their drug testing protocol really is about and who's administering the test. And so there are 50 plus so-called natural organizations in the United States. The overwhelming preponderance of them do self-administration of tests. That is, they have a volunteer that does the collection.
Mm-hmm.
They send it to a laboratory and ask for a basic sports panel versus a full panel test. A basic sports panel will look for about 34 compounds. A full panel test will look for a couple orders of magnitude more. So that's a much more comprehensive test. And then you send it to a laboratory that has WADA accreditation. In the United States, there are two of them, one in Salt Lake City, one at UCLA. And then you have to look at, are they indeed following the criteria for adverse analytical findings? So what do you do if somebody has a positive drug test? And there is a standard that's been set up by the Olympic sports, and USADA is the people that test in the United States for Olympic sports. And they set the guidelines along with the sport of how long a suspension will be. It can be a 6-month suspension, it can be a 4-year suspension. In no cases do they ever recognize a lifetime ban for a first-time offense. Mm-hmm. And so if you are doing that, you are not compliant with the USADA or WADA requirements. So some organizations say they are WADA compliant because they point at a WADA list and send a test to a laboratory that's WADA approved. However, they've forgotten the key components. One is they didn't have a third party collected by people that do that for a living. 2, they don't do a full panel test that's looking for everything on that list. And so the athlete needs to take time and research what real drug testing is about, research what that organization is doing relative to its drug testing, and see if that meets with what they would like to see. They also need to look at the criteria for judging. And in the so-called natural world today, we have gone to what I affectionately call lazy judging in many cases. And that is, it's very easy to see who's the most shredded athlete on stage. Mm-hmm. It takes a really knowledgeable panel to look at the correct criteria that's been established since day one in bodybuilding competitions that began in 1939 with AAU Mr. America and other events. And that is, in any class, you look for symmetry, proportions, muscularity as applicable to that division, presentation, not in the showmanship, but how well do you present your body to show your strengths and hide your weaknesses. And then somewhere down the list is conditioning, right? Conditioning's not at the top. It's a discriminator once you've gone through those other hoops. So if I look at a balanced symmetrical bodybuilder, I see people, a Doug Brignoli, I see a Siobhan Cunningham, a David Kay, a Les Jennings, a Gennaro Ferra, a Tony Pearson. These are gentlemen in the bodybuilding world that come in there that have taken a long time, become symmetrical, proportionate, appropriately muscular, do a wonderful job of showcasing themselves on stage. And oh, by the way, they're in condition, and they're in some cases in very good condition, but they haven't sacrificed everything else to get that unnatural looking, overly shredded look that often comes from skirting the rules and is inordinately dangerous. Mm-hmm. Recently, I just watched a video about natural bodybuilding where many of the participants expressed their feelings of how unhealthy and unsafe prep for a contest is. If that's what's happening, we've lost our way. It better be a healthy process. Is it difficult? Yes. Do you work hard dieting? Absolutely. But it shouldn't be where you're risking your health, because that's neither natural or drug-free or what we're looking for. So I think if the athlete educates themselves on especially drug testing, the judging criteria, and who is establishing that criteria, and who's doing the adjudications at an event, then they will find the organization that resonates with them. With us, we're a full third party, full panel tested. We have our standards require the important salient points like symmetry, proportion, muscularity, presentation being important. Our judging panels are not people that just won their first show last week. They are comprised of some of the industry's best athletes that have a long history of understanding the sport. And we present that as what we do for the athletes. The other thing is cost. Costs have become out of hand. We want to have the most wonderful experience for the people possible, but keeping it highly affordable. And that brings athletes in, that keeps athletes, and those that have left return because it's a sport that is a manageable sport economically.
Wow, very informational, and in my opinion, this is harder than other competition in terms of if either you have it or not, because it requires a lot of knowledge, and in a good way, in a positive way, because you can invest in different type of knowledge, learning about other stuff that are not really gonna last with you forever, but this is promoting healthy lifestyle and health in general, you know.
I absolutely concur. The interesting point is if you look at the demographics of our bodybuilding and fitness athletes since our return in 2017, it very much looks like the demographics of our powerlifters. In other words, we have many of these athletes are people that are master athletes. They're 40 plus. They're people that have been in the fitness world for a very long time. A good portion of them have become successful in other aspects of their life. And bodybuilding and fitness becomes a portion of their life instead of their life focus. And those people will be around in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s and be healthy because they've put a healthy perspective on what this sport should be and is within the AAU, that it's a true lifestyle that you can sustain and know at the end of the day, you're going to be safe, you're going to be healthy, and somebody's going to be caring about your safety and your health.
That's right. And look at Doug. Last year, he won it at 59, you know.
Yeah, he was about 3 weeks short of his 60th birthday.
Yeah.
And Doug, who had won that show in 1986, he won his class in there. He won the light heavyweight class. And Marlon Darton won the overall. And Doug was, 26, 27 years old at the time. Looked phenomenal. If you saw him last year, it was the same young man that we saw, maybe a little less hair on top, but certainly with the same proportions, symmetry, had maintained his muscularity. His presentation skills were amazing. And it's because he did not do anything draconian in his life. He has not been off of his, basic preparation for health. He does not balloon up 25, 30, 40 pounds. He does all the smart things to be a healthy 60-year-old man today and look absolutely amazing. And this year, we've got another person returning after a long absence, and that is Tony Pearson, who saw Doug last year and said, look, I'm doing life drug-free. I want to get out there and I want to see what I can look like, and I'm going to come in my best condition. And he is coming in with a stacked deck of top athletes he has to compete against. But again, Tony's another one that's never gotten very far away from it. Our 2018 Mr. Universe is a guy named Glenn Wilkins, who is 61 years old now, and he'll be back on stage. Glenn, I've known forever. He never is out of condition. It is a true lifestyle, and he's a successful businessman as well. So he's incorporated that well. That's what AAU bodybuilding and fitness athletes are. They are highly motivated, consistent athletes that also have done really well in keeping their lives together. Well, they're amazing people. I'm shocked at how wonderful they are.
Right. And for those who don't know, look at the champions in the Olympia after years, how they look, and look at the champions who competed in the AAU after years. When you compare both, you will ask, I don't want to name names, for example, but you see some bodybuilders who don't look healthy at all now. Is that what the sport is about? Is you're supposed to work out to be healthy, so when you get older, you don't have joint pain. You can enjoy life, not destroy yourself for the sake of winning a title that will last for a few years, and then you will pay the price for that all your life.
Yeah, so I look around at some of our former champions, whether it's Doug, whether it's Manny Perry, who's the most successful stuntman in Hollywood history. Patrick Nevy came out and was at our Legends a few years ago. He's in great shape. Mike Torchia is in great shape. Tony Pearson is in great shape. Mick Souza's in great shape. Tommy Terwilliger's in great shape. The interesting thing about these people is they have maintained their health. Did former AAU bodybuilders at some time, some of them use anabolic steroids? Absolutely. We know they did, yeah. Right? And it wasn't against the rules at the time. But to their credit, they said, if I want a healthy lifestyle, I need to change that as time goes on. And if you look at these athletes, they are all relatively lean. They're not large caricatures of themselves, they've maintained good muscularity, albeit a tiny bit smaller, right? And some of those athletes were lifetime drug-free, some of them weren't. But understanding that health and longevity is 100 times more important than that title, they've gone on to do other things successfully and stayed that way. I'm not sure that all of our champions that covet the other major title are in that shape. A couple of them are good friends of mine that I know are not healthy, and they've made that very apparent in social media where their health is today. And some of them will, the Dorian Yates of the world, come back and say, what I did was not the smartest thing to do in the world, right? And so if you look at the longevity of athletes that either stay drug-free all their life, or if they went for a period of time where they were not a drug-free athlete, they went and said, this is a short chapter in my life. I want to be healthy, fit, and muscular the rest of my life. And they changed their supplement routine and went forward. And you know, we have many of my friends going to the powerlifting world. A couple of years ago at one of my world championships, we had 159 of us that were 65 and over competing. That says a whole lot.
Yes.
You're not going to get 159 people over 65 using drugs, competing. They just don't last.
Absolutely. Wow. I have a personal question based on your personal choice. Who are your favorite top 3 AAU bodybuilder winners?
Oh goodness. I think that towards the top is got to be, Doug is one of the very top ones. There's a gentleman from Nigeria, and his name is Kelvin John. He is absolutely as complete and symmetrical as they come. We have a gentleman, Les Jennings, who had won the PNBA Olympia Pro a couple of years ago, who not only is an incredible comedian, by the way, big shout out to him, LJ Montenegro is his stage name. He's very complete. From our sister organizations, the DFAC, which is one of them, there's a gentleman by the name of David Kay, and Sean Wolf's another one from that organization. They are beautifully symmetrical athletes. Siobhan Cunningham has also competed in DFAC, and he's got probably some of the best proportions and symmetry I've ever seen. So I think that's amazing. Glenn Wilkins is one of our AAU champions. He comes back time after time after time, fit, conditioned, always looking good. And just looking at what Tony Pearson's looking like coming in for this universe, I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with at age 63. So they all have a similar thing to them. They are all beautifully symmetrical. They have all done their homework to take care of all their weaknesses. They have all maintained good muscular size that looks natural. It looks healthy. It looks like you want it to do. And each and every one of them have presentation skills that are amazing. And we got a gentleman coming in, a former Mr. Australia, Gennaro Ferra, he's now in New York. I'm shocked at how good he looks in his 50s. He looks terrific. So, you know, I'm just so excited with the class we got coming up this Saturday that, you know, my favorites, there's 7 or 8 in that class that would be up towards my favorites list. And there's a few in outside organizations and some of our partners that are amazing. NPF has some wonderful bodybuilders there to compete. But, you know, I really lean towards that wonderful symmetrical look that emphasizes the beauty of the pose. Steve Reeves was an old friend of mine for many years. We showed horses. This horse ribbons you can see.
Oh,
We showed Morgan horses against each other. 75 years ago, the physique he presented on stage is still that classic physique.
that's right.
Wide shouldered, narrow-waisted, proportionate, symmetrical. He wasn't the most shredded guy in the world. Would he get on stage and win today? He better, because he is the ideal that everybody has shot for.
True.
But maybe the judging criteria wouldn't favor him. Perfect physique.
Why now they are looking different as compared to before, the criteria?
I think it's a couple of things. I think they want to have consistency in the judging panel when you've got a tough class. And if you go with, well, the most shredded guy, then everybody's going to go pick it the same, and you don't have controversy because everybody chose him. Well, to me, you got controversy because you didn't judge per what I believe is the appropriate criteria. The other thing is getting prepared for a bodybuilding and fitness show today. People talk about how tough it is because of the sacrifices they do in dieting, water restriction, which I'm not a fan of, a whole lot of things. But none of them talk about, I spent 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years developing my physique in a proportionate, symmetrical fashion. I brought up my weaknesses. You know, are there some natural pros or drug-free pros out there that fit that and still have conditioning? Absolutely. We talked about a few of them. But there's an awful lot of them out there that are just, they've worked out a lot, but they haven't worked on their complete physique. And if you were to take those away, and as one promoter from another organization, who's a good friend of mine, said, if you truly drug tested all of the athletes in all the different organizations with a full panel test, you might not have a whole lot of competitors, right? And so the competitors, some of them have taken, in my opinion, the easy way out, not as far as their diet and conditioning, because they've worked their butts off there, but it's, they don't take the time to hone their physique, and they compete, and then they disappear for a few years and they compete. If you look back at the old magazines that we all read, right, when we were kids, or adults in my case too, as you're looking through that, you would see them prepare for 3 or 4 events every year, and they would focus for the Mr. America or the AAU Mr. Universe or the AAU Mr. Worlds every year, and you would see the development changes from 1 year to year 10 to year 15 to year 20. And that's a long-term process. Today, a lot of the athletes are not willing to make it a long-term process, requiring a lot of stage time, requiring a lot of time in the gym developing proportionate symmetrical physiques. And then they go spend 14 to 16 weeks getting as tight as they can, hoping the judges will curry them favor because they're conditioned.
Right. How much is genetic?
Genetics is huge. I mean, anybody that thinks it's not is wrong. However, that doesn't mean that there's not an opportunity for people that are genetically not perfect. I'm one of those people that, you know, and I'll take you to powerlifting, for example. I'm a 5'9" guy with a wingspan of a guy 6'5". Got ridiculously long arms. It's allowed me to be one of the most elite deadlifters in history. Because many years ago, they wrote an article in a magazine that talked about a world record deadlift that I did, where they were surprised that I could pull a world record deadlift and the bar didn't have to leave the ground, right? My arms are so long. So when I bench, it's much tougher, right? But through technique, I have made myself a good bencher. I've set 129 world records, and I've actually done double body weight at age 69, raw.
Wow.
And that's not supposed to be. So how do you now take those inferior genetics that I have and do something successful with it, right? And sometimes it's find the right division. Sometimes it's work your tail off to be extremely proficient either at the lift or improving your body. And then presentation is huge. Most people, when they see somebody posing and they see an intricate movement of the hands, they think, oh, that's beautiful. And they're looking at it as, it's wonderful theater. The smart bodybuilders use that like a magician does. It's sleight of hand. And so you are taking your hands, and as you're coming up, you are taking your hands to a position that you want the judge's eyes to go to while you perfect the rest of your poses, and then you bring it to their attention when you are absolutely correct. I have seen many a bodybuilder who has a lesser physique, and I've done it many times myself, where I'll look at a class, I'm at the bottom of the class, and I end up at the top of the class because I did a better job of hiding my many flaws and accentuating the good ones. And so we're going to go do a double bicep, and I will take them and have them look and say, oh my God, look at this back, because my back's a strength. And then we're going to do another shot, and oh my goodness, look at his strength there. Well, I took him there, even though it was a different pose, right? You accentuate what you have, you hide what you don't have, then you go back to the gym and improve, right? So I think that's an important part of this world that we've lost. I've seen so many people say, look at this wonderful poser, because that person could choreograph a wonderful dance. But when it came to actually hitting the poses, they missed. They didn't hold them long enough. There's some old axioms. If you're doing a double bicep, elbows always above the shoulders, shoulders down, elbows back, hands back, right? You see so many people stop short of that. They have great physiques. It's not well presented.
Right. So your advice for people who are not good with the presentation, how should they do it? Like how they should work on it? Because apparently it's one of the most important parts. You can lose just because you didn't know how to show it.
So I have a couple of things when I work with people to help them. And that is, one is understand what we are looking for in that pose and where the judges are. So when you are on stage, the judges not only are behind you when you're facing the curtain or in front of you when you're facing them, but they're lower than you. And so how do you get them looking at the best angle of you that shows you with the most breadth? So if you're doing a double bicep pose, if you're doing a bicep pose and you're down like this, you're not seeing much. As you crank back, you're seeing a bit more, right? And now you're seeing that full surface area as you're looking up into it. The other thing is people posing in front of a mirror. There's no mirror on stage. And so pose in that mirror till you see what you really like, and then close your eyes and hit that pose again, and you'll be shocked at how different it looks. And get it to where you can do it without that mirror because there is none in the showroom, right? So be prepared to do that. If you're going to put together a posing routine, make sure that you know how to hit long enough all of your mandatory poses and string them together in a way that you hit all of the poses that best accentuate you. Avoid those that are not good for you. Hold them long enough. And then in those transitions, remember, transitions are where a judge tears you apart. But if you hide things, and if you do sleight of hand, and if you turn your angles, if, like for instance, if you're going to do a side chest shot and you turn away before you come, you can be fully set. And all they're seeing is only good. I see so many people when they do a side chest shot, they cave down like this. They're not filling up their chest. They're not looking at it. Look at the pictures of Doug doing a side chest shot last year. Chest is up. Arms are in the right position. Most of the people are spending all this time leaning down there to show you that they're shredded. We know you're shredded. Show us you're muscular. So understanding what the poses should be, understanding the mandatories, understanding that you're never letting down, understanding what the judges are looking for, the angles they're looking for, how to transition to hide flaws, and those type of things will make your presentation a whole lot better. And you can move way up a lineup, because if a judge is only seeing the good and never seeing your flaws, you are better, right? Realistically, if you stand off and you're not posing, you can see you're not better.
Right.
But on stage, you presented yourself better.
Great advice. Very informative. So, last question about this. What is your advice for someone who will be participating for the first time?
Come have fun. That's number one. You're going to make every mistake in the book in your first show, even if you win. If you win the overall, you still made 100 mistakes. And each and every time you get on stage, you're going to improve on that. So come out there and make it fun, make it enjoyable. Don't stress about it. If it becomes a stress point in your life, or if it becomes your life, you're not going to be in this very long. Your family's not going to be very happy about it. If you learn to incorporate it into your life and do all your hard work and make it a subset of your life, you'll do really well. So jump in. Sometimes you're not perfect. You know, if you say, I got to be perfect the first time I get in, you're not. And then if you go to a show and they say, you know what, you were the best out there, you get a pro card. Say, thank you very much. I'm going to do another 10 or 20 amateur shows, because most organizations, they're selling you a pro card at a highly inflated price, and they're going to get you on stage, in some cases, as cannon fodder for other more established athletes there. You're going to pay, in many cases, a high entry fee, which is going to go to the guy at the top of the class. Don't be excited about getting the word pro behind your name. Develop your physique to be a pro physique. Get on stage when you have an opportunity to beat other top pros. But until then, just keep toiling in the amateur ranks and just keep doing it right. Become the very best. I don't care if you win every single show. If you're still improving, right, then that means that you're doing that. And all of a sudden you jump on stage and you're with the Doug Brignolis, or you're with the Shawan Cunninghams, or you're with the Glenn Wilkins of the world, of Les Jennings. that's tough sledding.
Right.
And you can be in great shape, but those guys are elite. I look at a David Kay, the same thing. So do your first show. Don't make it your last show. As soon as you get done with your first show, be ready to jump into your next show, because you've dieted hard, you're in condition, you're pretty ready. You're going to make your mistakes, whether it's how you peaked, your carbs, your posing, your nervousness, everything else. And here's the other thing you're going to do is you're going to say, wow, if it's a prejudging and an evening show, ate something in between. Look how much better I looked at night than I looked during the day. And you go, maybe I should have eaten differently. You got to show another week, 2 weeks, a month later. You hold that condition, you take your lessons learned, and you get into another one, and you get into another one. Now, you'll hear people say, but my hormones are screwed up, I've done this, I've done that, my body can't take it that much longer. That means your prep was wrong and dangerous, right? If last month, on October 2nd, Les Jennings got on stage with us, looked phenomenal, won the Worlds, but he knew he had more work before he comes in this weekend. Les would beat 99% of the people in the condition he was in, and he's got this prep now to do it and come down slowly some more for this one, because he's got a field of really tough ones, and he's going to do that. And this is a guy that's been competing a long time. As a first timer, it's a lot there. Accept the judge's decisions. Don't accept what the family says, because if the family all says, you got screwed over, you should have won, that's because they love you. You want the friend that says, you know what, Martin, you could have done this a little better, you could have done that better, you look great here, you look good here, you should have done this, everything else. That's the person that will get you to be a better athlete. Be gracious, have fun, enjoy the camaraderie. Don't get crazy about your binge eating afterwards. Go have your cheat meal, go have fun, and get
Enjoy
ready
the experience.
It's all about the experience. AAU, over the years, we've had people criticize AAU, whether it be powerlifting, weightlifting, or bodybuilding. They go, oh, that's just the organization where people have fun. Guilty as charged. We still put on quality events. We have tough rules. We have that. But you know what? People have a blast. And if the people have a blast, we were successful.
Yeah.
So have fun. Just have fun and learn.
Great advice. So before we finish, so what are we expecting this weekend? Can you tell us a little bit what's going on?
So yeah, so the show is not large by some people's show standards, but the quality and depth is amazing. In a COVID time where people said you can't run a show, we have, this is our fourth show in a town where people said you couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the universe, and we have 3 different shows together, AAU Universe, we've got the ICN USA, which is the world's largest international organization. They have classes, and there's a different group of classes. And then the MPF Las Vegas, which is the qualifier for their Sandows in 2 weeks that I'll be judging in Columbus. So we've got people coming out with an experience of competing in a bunch of different events. I look at our women's figure classes, unbelievable. Great quality from athletes from Nebraska, from California, from Nevada, Arizona, just unbelievable. Our men's classic bodybuilding is very strong. Our men's open bodybuilding is off the hook. The athletes coming in there, you can pick somebody first, or you can pick them 8th or 9th in that class and probably be right. They are that close. They are that good. Now, I've never focused on having the best athletes on stage, right? I don't want to be the exclusive organization. I want to be the inclusive. I want lots of good athletes out there working hard. We just have a bonus this year, and hopefully carrying in the future, that we've got this group. And so, you know, we've got Tony Pearson coming back and looking amazing. This gentleman, Gennaro Farah from New York, he's an Australian, won the NABA Australia before. He's just incredible. There's a Julian Brown out of Arizona that will come in really showing the boundaries of conditioning, but he's got all those symmetry and proportion we talked about before. Les Jennings is going to step on stage probably at 190 pounds at 5'8.5". That's big for a natural athlete. That's really big. But he's going to, everything's going to be there. Glenn Wilkins is going to get on stage and be the way he always is, which is ready to take on anybody. That group alone just amazes me. And then we've got others that are relatively new to me that could be on the top and push all those guys down. I don't know. So if I were to predict this weekend, I can't. I really honestly can't. I think we're going to have a judging panel that's going to be pulling its hair out of its head while it's just smiling, having a blast.
So Doug is facing a tough task.
Doug is going to be one of our main judges, and our judges are just really, really tough judges, and they're all, you know, highly experienced.
Yeah.
So you can have Jamie Pockman, you're going to have Monica Lopez, you're going to have Bob Baldwin, you're going to have Lorenzo Gaspar, you're going to have people that have got 20, 30, 40, almost 50 years of experience judging these people.
Wow.
They're going to get the best of the judging. And you've got quality. And I can tell you, there's going to be, I don't think you're going to see a sweep across the cards on any of the classes coming up, because the athletes are centered well together. And, you know, the wonderful thing of any classes, it doesn't matter whether you've got 10 that are so-so, but if they're all so-so, it's exciting. Or you got 10 that are all amazing. That's exciting because you now have a battle. The Plaza Hotel Casino has rolled out the red carpet for us. During COVID, we've got the beautiful showroom there. We've got the most incredible tanners, hair, makeup artists that have done many TV shows, Hollywood movies, etc., coming in and doing it at very reasonable prices. We have got a restricted audience, but we'll probably have 160 people be allowed in there to watch in a beautiful theater or the beautiful showroom there. And then we're going to have fun afterwards. We're going to party. A few people are going to be heading off to the Sandows 2 weeks later. Our AAU North Americans is 4 weeks later. But for one night, we're going to probably invade the restaurants.
Fantastic work. Wow.
We are going to have just so much fun. We've got an art gallery coming in with their displays. The overall best athletes, something we do very different. An art gallery donated 2 statues that are on pedestals that are $1,200 statues for best athlete, female and male. And you literally can lose an overall and win best athlete, because our criteria is, how are you against the gold standard in your age group and category, right?
Very interesting.
So if you're a 90-year-old bodybuilder and you are a 10 out of 10, and our open bodybuilder is a 9 out of 10 against the best in the judge's mind, that 90-year-old might win that statue. We've got a gentleman coming in from Kevin Wakefield from the East Coast. He's not only is a good bodybuilder who will also be in the mix, but he's an incredible artist, and he is doing a series of paintings on AAU Mr. Americas and AAU Mr. Universes. And I think he's going to be presenting one or more of those paintings to some of our athletes there that he's already pre-painted. And so it's going to be a fun weekend. That's the only way I can describe it. We are going to have fun. The new Circa Hotel just opened this week, right across the street. And we got 80-degree weather. You can't beat it. So I am so excited about this. And, you know, I am just thanking God that we are able to get through this pandemic and do another show while everybody else is either scaling down, canceling. We had another organization that pulled out of a hotel and went into a gym to do their contest. There are people that have had to resort to competing outside, some in people's backyards. They've done whatever it is to get a show going. That's wonderful. We have been lucky and blessed because of our relationships here in Vegas and the surrounding areas to maintain wonderful venues. And we're going to provide a safe environment, a COVID-free environment that is going to allow the athletes, the spectators to feel safe, and we can maintain that quality of venue. We are so thrilled.
Respect for all the work, for all the hard work put together and all the people who contributed to make this happen. Last thing, let's say those who wants to watch the event can't go there. Is it possible to see that, or there's no plan for that?
Well, herein lies the problems that you have. I'll give you the downside of Vegas, and it's the only downside. To legally do webcasts and broadcasts from a venue requires a lot of things that people don't do correctly. If you have more than one camera, you now must get permission from the unions, even if and some of these are not union hotels, but some are. You have to have a webcast that is sufficient quality, not somebody's cell phone put up on a tripod, right? You've got to be able to make sure that that webcast is properly done. Are we planning on doing something like that now or in the future? The answer is yes, because we actually have a documentary crew coming in that's in the business of making movies. And they're going to do footage from that, and there will be packets of footage made available to it. But we're not doing a webcast. I watched one last year from a prominent show, and it was really nice. They had a free webcast, but they had a stationary cell phone there. And so when the people came out on stage, the cell phone will focus in on one thing, which is that large lineup of people and the backdrop. And so everybody looked like they were smooth.
Yeah.
And then when people left the stage and there was an individual, that camera would now, if it was centered, would focus on the person and you'd see definition. So for the sake of just getting a video out there, I don't want to put a poor quality video out there. Do we have a desire to put out a high quality video for this and in the future? Yes. And let people watch it.
Will there be updates on the Facebook page or something?
Oh gosh, yes. Okay. Yes.
So where people can find that?
Well, so most of the people will end up tagging me, Martin Drake, on Facebook. And then when we get done at nighttime, I don't have no idea what sleep is. So I will probably get out there and put in forward pictures to the universe. We have the AAU Universe page. And when you're finding it, look for AAU Universe /ICN. And that will have additional information on it. But most of the early information will be sent out by the athletes, families, and so on. As we now collect ourselves afterwards, then we'll get more quality pictures, videos, and stuff out there. I am more concerned about running that show for the people on the stage and their families than I am for the rest of the media.
Yeah.
the rest of the watchers. But we also want to get them to see what we're doing because we're proud of it.
Yeah, you know how much they're excited to know, right? Some people like wanted maybe to come there, but because of some of the restriction, they weren't able to make it. So the second thing they will look for is either online broadcasting or pictures or anything that is related to the show.
We will get everything that we can. When you're in some of these showrooms, to light up an internet service could cost you thousands of dollars just to be able to get that internet access. Am I being cheap? Yeah, I guess I am, because I'd rather spend the money on something else I can do for my athletes. If we have an event where we are making additional money and that becomes part of the budget to do a quality video service and quality video streaming out there, absolutely. You know, if you want to fly out there and be part of it, God bless it. We'd love to have you be part of it, you know. But right now our focus is going to be put on the best show we can on stage. We got a very, very busy schedule because we want everybody to have lots of stage time. But between the different organizations, we've got about 65 classes.
Wow.
Yes. But you're going to see such a variety of classes and so much fun.
That's fantastic.
We're thrilled.
Well, this is amazing. I'm very excited about it and looking forward to see what's going to happen. I would like to thank you very much for all the information you shared with us. It's really like gold, the knowledge you gave us today.
My distinct pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to what's going to happen this weekend. Maybe we'll have after another video to tell us a little bit more about what happened in small video.
Oh, absolutely. As we get packets of data and stuff, we want to be able to keep releasing that out there for everybody to pick up and use. You know, when you're dealing with hotel casinos, there are an awful lot of rules that one has to follow, especially during relative to entertainment. Yeah. And right now, with Vegas just now coming back and entertainment slowly coming back because of the numbers, there's an awful lot of entertainers who are not employed right now. Mm-hmm. And we have to be mindful of what they're going through, and you know, provide our fans and our customers some quality information, data, pictures, and videos, but be mindful that our wonderful Las Vegas entertainers, they make their living out of this and they're struggling, and we don't in any way want to interfere with them. You know, it's, we got to be fair.
Well, perfect. Thank you very much. Well, it's a long video, but it's a great video.
Well, so, thank you.
Thank you very much. We will keep in touch, and we'll have a short part 2 to tell us what happened after the competition.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. And I will see you soon. Take care.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.